So yeah, this is my 112 and this is a 212, and yeah, that's where the music comes out.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, but as you can imagine, I need a full stack. I need a 412, and because of this, I've got something to show you. Come on. So I'm obviously still very at the beginning. Everything's still in prototype, but I'm planning on building about, I don't know, 4 or 5 or 20 or 30 of these cabinets, and yeah, all with different speakers. What do you guys think?
That amount of speaker cabinets wouldn't fit in the yard, Jack.
They're not going in my yard. They're going in my studio.
Well, I don't know, man. I think you're overdoing it just a little bit. I mean, you need something that's not so bulky, something perhaps that would fit in the living room.
One thing that must be taken into consideration when having gas is space. As some of us may know, there are necessities that take up space. Sometimes a lot of space. All of us guitarists love amps, and we love speaker cabinets. And if possible, we like to have a wider range of options at our disposal. Amplifiers, but especially speaker cabinets, require a lot of space. Especially if you're looking to increase your 4x12 collection. But with modern technology, are these large boxes of tone goodness really necessary? Everything is getting smaller and smaller. Pedals, screwdrivers, storage, Boba Fett. So how can we, as studio guitarists, take advantage of this tiny evolution? Simple. We take this and turn it to this. My name is Jack, and I have a serious case of gas. How's it going, everybody? This video is mainly going to be on impulse responses. Now, if you have no idea what this is or what they are, stay tuned, because I'm not going to go into technical jargon. I'm going to try to explain it in a very basic way, and also really what's important is how we can use it for studio recording and how we can replace big speaker cabinets with something that we have on our computer. But first, let's listen to a recording of my Orange TH100 going straight into my interface using a DI box. So no speaker. It's pretty much going from the amp straight to my computer. This is what it sounds like. Not so nice. Now, let's listen to the exact same recording, and it's actually going into an Eminence-loaded 212 cabinet, and that will sound like this. Somewhat better, huh? Now, it might be tricky to get that kind of tone without having one of these speaker cabinets. If you don't, then you're just getting that first sound that we listened to. So let's first dive into what exactly speakers are and what impulse responses are. So let's start from the very beginning. Your signal is going from your guitar into the amplifier, into the preamps, into the power amps, and then it's being jammed into one of these, a speaker. Now, each speaker is built differently. Now, that's why you'll hear things like the Celestion Vintage 30 has a very warm and classic sound. This, for example, is an Eminence Redcoat Private Jack, and yes, I did buy it just because of the name, and actually I really liked it, so it worked out. This has a very, I'd say it's good for sort of like metal or hard rock sounds. It has a lot of good mid-tones to it. So my point is, every speaker is built differently and has a different kind of vibration, different sound coming from the cone. Now, when you hear guitars or amplifiers, you're not just hearing it straight from the amplifier or from the speaker cabinet unless you're at a live setting. If you're listening to albums or music online, it's obviously always recorded, and it's recorded using microphones. Now, often in studios you'll see speaker cabinets with one or even two microphones and maybe a microphone somewhere in the room. That's because depending on the microphone itself, whether it's a dynamic microphone or a ribbon microphone, they also have a different response to the tone. And depending on where they're placed on the speaker, if they're placed right at the front or maybe a little bit askew to the side, that also makes a difference. So all these factors have to be taken into account, and nowadays these factors are digitally packaged and applied to impulse responses. Now, the idea of this is that an impulse response is literally taking a type of speaker, even the type of cabinet, if it's a 112 or a 212 or one of those big Marshall 412s, even they have a different type of tone. So all these different factors are being taken into account and being put into a digital package. What we're going to just do is go into actually some real life settings and how it can actually just be applied using different programs. I'm going to be using 2Notes, the Wall of Sound, which is really neat. And then we're just going to be looking at impulse responses directly that are already in my Kemper, and also a couple of different impulse responses that I've bought, downloaded, and put into a plugin in Presonus Studio One, just to show you a couple of different options and how they sound using the exact same signal I took from my Orange TH100. So let's have a look. So what we have here are two recordings. This first part here is the amplifier actually going through a real speaker cabinet. And then I've created these loops here of the same part, and this is straight from the DI box, so just the amplifier without a speaker. So it sounds pretty rough. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to open up some impulse responses. Now, the first one we're going to open up is the Torpedo Wall of Sound from 2Notes. I'm just going to briefly go through this because I don't want this to be sort of like a sales pitch for the Wall of Sound. It's pretty much just to give you an idea of what impulse responses are in a digital workspace, and I think that the Torpedo Wall of Sound from 2Notes displays it visually quite nicely. So as we can see, we're in a hall setting, and we've got a speaker cabinet here, and let me actually choose one that might look a little bit familiar. We'll look at a Brit Vint C. So this is probably supposed to emulate a Marshall 4x12 and likely a Celestion vintage speaker. So let's actually just change the setting for now. Let's go to like a Studio B because that looks nice. It's supposed to sound nice as well, of course. So let's just take a look, and I'm going to turn it on up here, and we'll hit record and see what that sounds like. Now the point of this is that you actually get a, let me switch back to it. You actually get a different sound depending on how far or close the microphone is to the cabinet. Now this is the same case in real life as well. So these impulse responses take vibrations, sound waves, the acoustics of the room, reverb, so the bouncing off of walls and different surfaces, it's all taken into account. And nowadays with digital technology, it's become so advanced that if you've got a DI signal and you have an amplifier, you pretty much have endless numbers of possibilities just with your computer. So it's almost sad to say you actually don't need dozens and dozens of speakers or speaker cabinets, but you can save a lot of room. So I don't know, I think that's quite nicely done. Just to give you another quick example, let's go for a 112. 112 Deluxe. Okay, this looks very similar to what a Fender would look like, for example. So let's see what that sounds like. And also let's try a different mic. I think it might be peaking a little bit too much, but we'll get by. So this is like a Dynamic 57 microphone. You have ribbon microphones. So again, these have different sound acoustics as well. So yeah, pretty neat. And let me get rid of this fader port. So yeah, like I said, it's a nice visual look of it as well. You actually see what's sort of like going on. You get a better idea of what kind of a speaker it is. So I'd say for a beginner, this is a great place to start. And actually, if you download this, a lot of the things come for free. So it's a great place to start off on. Now, if you're a person who's been diving into different impulse responses a little bit more and have maybe looked at other sources, for example, Celestion, they have their own impulse responses you can download, so really the Celestion speakers. And I've also discovered recently Pulse. So let me turn the always remember to turn one off and turn another one on. So this is from Lancaster Audio. This is a plugin which is, again, free to download. And it actually comes with an out-of-the-box cabinet in it. And it's called the Pulse. So I've got some other stuff loaded up here. But let's just listen to the Pulse first. And now, mistake I made there was I did not turn it on. So that was the sound without. Now this is with. So big difference. And don't know why that keeps popping up. So, and also what I've done is I've gone to the Lancaster Audio webpage because they had a Christmas deal, and I took full advantage of it. And I downloaded some cabinets which are supposed to emulate Mesa Boogie Recto, I'm guessing that's supposed to be, and also a Marshall 1690, yeah, 1960. So I go here to external IR. I'll go to this one and I'll do an A/B switching back and forth. And these are pretty easily loaded in. You just, I've got a folder here for VST plugins and impulse responses. And these are literally, when you buy one of these impulse responses online, you're given a file to download. And when you do that, they have the impulse responses for Axe effects, for your Kemper profiling amp. I'll dive into that a little bit later. And then I'm not too sure what S-Gear is. If anybody knows, please let me know. I haven't researched it yet. And so I'm just going to take the WAV file here and load that up into the Lancaster Audio plugin. And there are a couple of different ones. So I'm just going to A/B them back and forth. And yeah, let's have a quick listen into this. So again, some of them had a slightly different tone to them. I think the further higher the number I went, it seemed to get a little bit darker. That might have just been my impression, but you can just instantly tell there's a huge difference between a Mesa Boogie Recto cabinet. I think that's what it's supposed to be. I don't remember. It's been a couple of weeks now. And also obviously a Marshall 1960. So that's pretty much impulse responses in a box. Let's also have a look how modeling amplifiers, for example, the Line 6 Helix or the Kemper profiling amp, also are able to take impulse responses into your signal chain. So this is me now plugged right into the Kemper profiling amp, and this is plugged straight into my interface. Now, first of all, this is a Friedman 50, and it's hard to see the light, but it's not on, so which means cabinet simulation is off. And this is what that sounds like. It's that kind of irritating, tinny kind of sound. So if we put the cabinet simulation on, now, what is also possible to do here with the Kemper Profiler is I have a USB stick plugged in over here. You can't really see it, but it's right over there. And what I've done is I've put some of those impulse responses that you can download, and as you might have seen, the one of the folders was called Kemper Profiling Amp, and I've put in a Marshall. I put the 3 Marshall cabinets on there as well. And you can see that external storage is automatically highlighted here, so you can import these profiles of the cabinets. And if I just hold cabinet in here and I go to browse, I can already see here the Marshall, sorry, I'll go back. The Marshall 1960A1, A2, and A3. These are the ones that we were also looking at before. And this is what they sound like. Obviously try this out with a different rig as well. I'll go to example for the Diesel VH4 profile. Now this is let's actually take a look at the Marshall 1962. Cabinet completely off. So yeah, that's Kemper cabinet simulation, Kemper cabinet, and yeah. So again, this is you can take any types of impulse responses and load it into a profiling amplifier, such as the Kemper. As far as I know, this is also possible with things like the Line 6 Helix and obviously Axe-Fx from Fractal. It's pretty much all the same system. So there's a quick explanation for you. So I hope you found this helpful, interesting, insightful, and let me know down in the comments what your favorite IR is, or if you're new to IRs, or if you prefer speaker cabinets. Just yeah, give some feedback. Let us have a conversation about different possibilities. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And yes, I did get a haircut while filming. I don't know why. To lighten the load. To make more space for speaker cabinets. The hair was getting in the way. I can fit another 412 in here now. So anyway, my name's Jack, and I have a serious case of IR or speaker gas, whichever one takes up or has more space. Anyway, see you guys next week.